Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. P, and it seems like it's been... Nope, it's only been a week, but it seems like it's been a long time since I've read this. Steph Soto, Taco Queen. And we are on Chapter 6. After language arts, I have math, and after that, a 10-minute break before science, where Mrs. Saros divides us into pairs for an experiment with baby diapers. We're going to continue talking about polymers, which you'll remember are long strings of molecules that can have some very interesting properties, she explains, walking up and down the aisles around the desks. Some bounce, some stretch, some are rough and rigid. Today, you'll work with a super absorbent polymer. See if you can figure out why it's called super absorbent. We cut our diapers open, revealing a grainy white powder that we collect in Ziploc bags. And when we drop water onto the powder, the granules swell into big blobs. Talk to your partners, Mrs. Saros says. Besides, in a diaper, where else might a super absorbent polymer be helpful? How might you use it in a garden, for example? My partner Jake pokes the glob of diaper gel on our table. Sick, he says. I don't even know if he means gross or cool. It's kind of both. The subject of Viviana Vega doesn't come up for the rest of the morning, but by lunchtime the whole school knows about her concert and tickets are all anyone is talking about. So, Amanda says, smacking her lunch tray down on the table where Arthur and I are already sitting. According to Julia, the cheap seats, she puts air quotes around cheap, are $40 each. I have $10 left over from my birthday. Where are we going to get the rest? Well, you could try selling a kidney, Arthur mutters dryly, taking his veggie burger patty out of its bun. You have two. Amanda sticks her tongue out at him and then turns back to me. I'm serious, Steph. We have to be there. I don't want to hear all about it from Julia Sandoval. We're figuring this out like today. Just like that, she stands up again, jamming a granola bar in her pocket before I can say anything. If Amanda were a polymer, she'd definitely be the kind that bounces. She's right, though. It's a lot of money. But paying for tickets isn't our only problem. Maybe not even our biggest problem. There's no way Mommy and Poppy are going to let me go to that concert without them, and there's no way I'm letting them come along with me. We go from lunch to PE, which seems cruel. All I want to do is nap, but at least it's just kickball today. After PE, social studies, and finally, because it's Tuesday, art. Most people, if you ask them what their favorite day of the week is, they wouldn't say Tuesday. It's still early in the week and Friday's a long way off. There's nothing special about Tuesday, except for me, there's art class. And in art class, I never hear my Mammy's voice telling me I'm too young or Poppy nagging me to be careful. I am in charge of the blank piece of paper in front of me, and I can turn it into something as vivid and adventurous or as quiet and calm as I want. There aren't any restrictions except Mr. Salazar's, of course, but that's different. Pinned to the walls of Mr. Salazar's studio are a decade's worth of sketches and paintings, some yellowing, their corners creased. Smears and spatters of paints and pastels stain the tabletops, and dried up clay is ground into the tiled floor. But our paintbrushes are always clean and organized by shape and size in old soup cans. We sit on tall stools at broad tables instead of desks and chairs. We can talk as much as we want as long as we get our work done. We hang our backpacks off a row of hooks just inside the door to keep them clean and out of the way. Then we pick out smocks from a bin near Mr. Salazar's desk. The smocks are actually old button-down shirts with ink stains on the pockets or holes in the elbows donated by parents or by Mr. Salazar himself. I pick out one with pink and green pinstripes and put it on backside front. Grab a brush and fill up a cup of water on your way to your seats, he tells us, and then he asks me to pass out watercolor trays. I come up short and he frowns. Maddie, will you share with Julia? The girls nod. And Steph, do you mind sharing with Amanda for today? Once we've all settled on our stools, Mr. Salazar takes a basket full of white crayons and sends them around the classroom. We each take a crayon and pass the basket along as he tapes a piece of watercolor paper on the whiteboard and begins the day's lesson. "Who can tell me what resist means?" he asks, his back to us while his hand darts over the page. "Whatever he's drawing is invisible from where I sit, white wax on white paper." "To fight back," Arthur calls out, pumping his fist in the air. Mr. Salazar nods without looking away from his work. "Anyone else?" "To push away," I venture. Mr. Salazar turns around and points a finger first at Arthur and then at me. "Right and right. Very good, both of you. Today we're going to be practicing a technique called wax resist." And he swizzles his paintbrush in a plastic cup of water and then dabs it on a cake of paint. And here's why. He brushes a wash of violet color over the paper and then switches to blue and then to green. And the colors bloom on the page. They spill into one another in liquid bursts, except for where Mr. Salazar had sketched with his crayon. The mystery drawing turns out to be a spider web, its strands gleaming white through all that color. Is the wax holding back the free-flowing paint, keeping it from going where it wants to go? No, I decide. It's something else. The wax is shining through, bold and bright, and refusing to be painted over. Julia seems to have read my mind. It's wax resist because it's resisting the paint? Exactly, Mr. Salazar claps. He tells us to spend a few minutes planning before practicing the technique ourselves, but I already know what I want to paint. Parking lights glowing against dark purple sky over the commissary at night. We're going to stop there because there's a lot of long videos. So we will pick up Chapter 7 next week. Steph Soto, Taco Queen.